I will live my life. As those generations depend on me, and I will teach and encourage all of mine to do the same. Silverback, Silverback, oh!
And I say this in my 26 years, this is the first program that I've seen an immediate impact, especially with boys.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the monthly Silverback Show. I'm your moderator, Norman Robinson. On this edition, I have joining me a very, very special guest, Mrs. Nedra Wardsworth. Mrs. Wardsworth is not only a longtime supporter of the Silverback Society, she's also the wife of co-Silverback founder, the late Reverend Arthur Wardsworth. Mrs. Wardsworth, thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
I'm excited to have you here because you're very passionate about this program. Not only are you a big-time supporter, you're actually seeing your late husband's vision to fruition. What do you think he would have to say about this program at this point were he here today?
I think he would be extremely excited. I mean, to see the growth from two men sitting at a coffee shop talking about, mentoring young men to now seeing, the magnitude of how this program has grown.
And in your opinion, where has the program gone, and where would you like to see it go from here?
Seeing a program in its infancy, starting at one school and then gradually begin to build to more schools. I mean, there is a lot of work still yet left to do. I like the mission. It says, raising healthy children, is better than fixing broken men. And so there's a lot of broken people out there. And yes, I am very passionate about it because I work in the community and I see it each and every day. And to see the work that the Silverbacks do, it's just amazing that you touch one life at a time and you make such a difference in somebody's life. Not only their life, but when they become men, their family lives.
How about the situation where you're faced with schools where they've had a discipline problem prior to the Silverbacks arriving there, and the Silverbacks arrive, and miraculously the discipline problem goes away? Does that surprise you?
Not at all. I was just reading some articles before I got here, and they say, boys and girls who grow up in single-family households tend to have more disciplinary problems, tend to have more sexual abuse, tend to have, more trouble in school. And so, no, that's not surprising at all. And so when you see those men go in that school and they can see a life image of a man or what a man needs to be, then they can emulate that. So that's impressive in itself, to say that, hey, I do have a chance, I can be somebody, and here's how that works. And
it's simplistic too. You just a man's presence with these boys. He's not doing anything really special. He's just showing up and devoting his time. How does that work?
Listen, I grew up, my parents are still living, both of them, and they've been married for 58 years. And my husband also, parents were together, and he died at 58, but they were still married. To have that impact of a father for my own self, knowing that as a woman, that I was steered in the right direction, I don't know how that would be if I didn't have my mom and my dad. And to not have a parent, especially a father or mother, and I tell my boys all the time, I think I'm a great mom, but I don't know how to be a man. And so having men like yourself, Silverbacks, that go into the school that can teach them how to be a man and what's expected out of them as a man is powerful within itself.
It surprises me, and I guess it just depends on what your perspective or your experience is when it comes to dealing with male youngsters, that some people don't see the benefit or the significance of matching boys with men who can fashion a role model for them to emulate. They think that any adult, I've been told that any adult would be sufficient in that role. What do you think about that?
I disagree. I mean, again, you know, I think that I can teach my boys a lot of things, but I cannot teach them how to be a man. And I cannot teach them what to expect out there as a man, you know, the things that they will face as a man. I mean, I can tell them about what I think, but I don't know.
Now, in this day and age of gender equality, why is it important for boys to know what it means to be a man? Why is that important?
We both have our respective roles, and I think, especially in God's eyesight, we both have, as a man and as a woman, we have things that we need to do. And no, it's better or less, but there is a role that we must play. And as a woman who have a daughter who is now 19, I mean, she needed her dad, you know, that protection, that love, that security. It's the same thing for a boy. He needs the love of his mom, that nurturing, but he also needs to know how to be a man, you know, that I don't know what you all experience as men, you know. I can think about it, I can assume some things, you know, and by talking and having conversation, but I don't know that experience. And so you can't discount the role of a man. You just can't. God put you here for a reason to lead, you know, and the feminists might say, well, yeah, I don't agree with that, but, you know, that's of their own opinion. I mean, we wouldn't have the situation we have if it worked, that we can raise men to be men. No, I can't raise, you know, and I'm thankful that my husband, when he passed when my boys was 18 and 20. Now, do they need male figures? Absolutely. Do they have those men that came in and stepped in after he died? Absolutely. You know, again, I don't, you know, I can give them solid advice, and I can be there supporting and loving. But sometimes they just need a man to talk to.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Absolutely. There's no substitute for that.
Right.
What have been some of the most significant changes you've seen in these young boys after they've had an experience with the Silverbacks in the schools? You could start with the first school, I think was, what, Murray Henderson?
Right. I think, I told a story before of, you know, my husband was working at Murray Henderson, and as the kids got out of recess, they went to the gate, and there was a dead body there. And,
oh my goodness.
Right. And so all the kids trying to see what was going on, and what they realized is that one of the kids, that was their dad. That was their dad, and the child just sat at the gate, and he just cried. And when my husband went over to ask, you know, well, what's going on? Why are you so upset? He said, that's my dad sitting on the side of the road. You know, impact, absolutely. And I think that was one of the reasons why my husband and Mr. Dennis came together with the Silverbacks, is that how do you get to a child like that? How do you change? How do you make that child not angry at what has just happened in his life? We all been through a lot of things in our lives, and some kids has experienced things that, even as adults, we have not experienced. Now, how do you transform that child's life into be a man of quality, a man of stature, a man of character?
So what kind of conversations did you and your husband have about the Silverback Society? This became part of his mission, along with Lloyd Dennis. This became the Reverend Arthur Wardsworth mission, along with Lloyd Dennis. What kind of conversations did you have with him along the way?
Well, you know, my husband has always been that man who loved children. You know, when we first got married, he coached Little League. And then when we moved back to New Orleans from Hammond, Louisiana, he began to not only coach high school, but also he started teaching. And so he always had this passion for kids, and so and for boy kids. Even in his ministry, you know, he was about building men, you know, from boys to men. And so I always knew that, okay, he's going to do something, you know. And then when this kid from Murray Henderson was so affected by what he saw in his dad on the ground, it changed him. And I watched that transformation happen, you know, that he felt like he had to stand in the gap for other young boys.
And your husband, Reverend Wardsworth, when he saw that, how did that touch him?
he became very emotional after he saw that, and then he came home, and he's actually working at another school too. And he told me some other stories about, you know, young boys and being angry at their mom and why mom wasn't dressing appropriately, and she would drop off the kid at school, and they kept sending notes home saying you need to, you know, prepare yourself better and dress appropriately and proper. But the mom, the mom didn't, you know, and he became increasingly embarrassed throughout the year. And he watched that young child, being a gentle child, being very aggressive and angry. And so from that, you know, we would have conversations talking about that. How do you transform? How do you help that child, you know, with the anger, you know, what he's seen at home, the disrespect maybe he felt as a young boy that he was seeing in his own house.
So your husband used what he learned through coaching these kids.
Absolutely.
He used that methodology to come up with a template to train boys and kind of direct them towards a more positive way of living.
I think not only my husband, but I think Mr. Lloyd and my husband got together and found that peace, and that can really help the boys.
That materialized rather quickly. How surprised were you that they were able to pull this off in the short length of time that they were able to do?
Not at all. I mean, you're talking about Mr. Lloyd Dennis and you talk about Arthur Wardsworth. So no, I wasn't surprised at all. Two men with a passion for to get a job done, and that young men was laying in the balance. It don't take that much energy to realize, okay, we have to do something and do something fast. And so, yeah, it came together extremely fast.
So all it takes basically is some passion and some sincere vision,
right, exactly.
and commitment. What about transforming this kind of a program for girls? I've heard that you have this feeling that the Silverback template could work for girls.
I think the template can work. Yeah, absolutely, it can. You listen, when you look at young women, and I'm watching them all the time, and you're saying, okay, they need as much as help as the young boys. You know, how do you take a little girl and make her a lady? That's a lot of work, a lot of mentorship. And so, is it possible? Absolutely, it is. Is it going to be a lot of work? Yes. Do we need people to help? Yes. We need people to help on both sides. We need men to mentor young boys, and we need young, you know, women to mentor young girls, and be an example. Because, you know, we can mentor all we want. If we live in a life out there that's not pleasing, then we don't want those kind. But we want those men that's going to be men of valor, men, you know, with character, you know, to come in and step up. You know, step up. You know, we can complain about the problem all day long, and we see it, and we live in it. But if we don't stand up and be accountable and stand in the gap for those who can't and make a difference in these young people's lives, then we know better than a person who's not doing anything. We have to be about it and just not talk about it, right? Absolutely. All right. Mrs. Nedra Wardsworth, thank you for being a guest on the Silverback Society show. Thank you. Thank you for having me. You're very welcome. We pause now for a short break, and when we return, we'll discuss how area schools can partner with the Silverback Society to bring this successful mentoring program to their young men. Don't go far. That I've seen an immediate impact, especially with boys.
So the Silverback Society,
it's going to change the entire dynamic
of young people, but also
it's just going to change the entire dynamics of the environment that we live in and the world.
As it relates to what is happening in education.
I think the mentoring program is a success, and that more states should incorporate the Silverback Society form.
It's a space where folks who have been disconnected from the system are able to plug back in and like seed into the lives of young people.
But the knowledge and experience was given to me by my elders, and I need to pass that on.
And then they become attached to the school that they work at, the faculty. They become a face that's recognized, that's loved.
I'm very proud to be part of the organization.
As a younger black man, it is stuff like this that shows me which path I need to go down, and I'm just proud to be a part of the Silverback Society.
little and eating better every day can help make you and your child healthier. Search We Can to find doable tips and activities that you can use every day.
My life is full of statistics. Thing is, I could have dropped out of school and become one myself, but I didn't because I had people that believed in me. Here's another statistic. 7,000 students drop out every school day. That's one every 26 seconds. It's time that students know that we believe in them.
Inspire a student and share your message of support at boostup.org.
What if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change. A whole new kind of investment called Better Futures. When you invest, it helps kids go to college. Believe in us, invest in us, watch us grow.
My name is Sydney, and I'm your dividend.
I will live my life as those generations depend on me. And I will teach and encourage all of mine to do the same. Silverback, Silverback, go!
And I say this in my 26 years. This is the first program that I've seen an immediate...
Welcome back. With the continued success of the Silverback Society program, you know, many schools have shown an interest in participating in the program. To discuss this and more, I have with me now Mr. Mtumishi St. Julien, who is not only a Silverback mentor and board member, but also serves as the organization's campus liaison. And welcome, Mr. St. Julien.
Thank you, Norman.
This is where the rubber meets the road for the organization. Yeah, that's
okay.
what I'm told.
Well,
the campus liaison, that's what I heard.
Oh, that's I'm flattered. I'm very flattered.
What's it like for you when you go into a school? You have this mission, you've got this passion, you know what the Silverback Society is all about, you know what kind of results the organization has. What's it like when you go into a school with this program?
Well, first thing, I have to cut the myths. You know, the word has gotten around town that there's miracles going to happen when the Silverbacks come in.
Is that right?
That's right. Miracles as soon as we come in. And so, you know, administrators are so busy. They say that's all we need to do to solve all our problems is to get the Silverbacks in. So they come in, the principal wants us to come in and so forth, and just sign them up and then go about their business because they have a lot of things to do. So my job is to say, wait a minute, there's work to do. With this, we have a partnership. And we have our job as mentors to work with these boys, but you as administrators, you have your job. And I have to bring in not only the principals, but I make sure the principals say, look, our meeting has to be with the middle managers so they can all have buy-in and understand why does this work and what role does the school play in making this work? And the answer to the question is, it's consistency. It's consistency. That's simple. Many of these boys have experience with men that come in and out of their lives. And what changes them is when they see a group of men who really has concern about them and consistently come to them each time. Now, why is it important for the school to realize this and administrators to realize this? Because they have pressures, testing pressures. And it's easy and very simple to say, look, why don't we tell the Silverbacks don't come this week? Because we can use that hour for testing practice.
So how do you get them to buy into the extent that they don't do that?
That's right. We come in and we talk to them. We can let them understand that, look, this is not miracles. Just because we come in, the Silverbacks come in, something's going to change. It takes work, and we have to have that consistency. So we call our hour that we have with our boys, we call it a sacred hour, to emphasize to the administrators and everyone else how important this hour is in building this relationship and mentorship and menteeship between the mentors and the boys. And we emphasize to the schools that consistency is the importance, the foundation of the success. And it is true. You know, Lloyd had teaches our mentors that usually in the 4th or 5th week, the boys, 8th grade boys, they start reverting to 6th graders. They start
really?
Oh yeah, they start acting wild and crazy. And if you're not prepared, you start wondering why. And the reason is they just cannot believe that you have successful black men who have an interest in them.
Really?
And they have to react, they have to act out and say, this can't be true. And they're going to act crazy.
So they're testing you.
Oh, this is a test.
This is the test.
This is a test. And Lord teaches the mentors, you got to ride through this. And when we show up in that 5th or 6th week, and the boys said, I don't care what we do, these men are going to come and come back, and they keep coming back. All of a sudden, they say, there's something serious about this. And they really start listening more than they listened before. And it's about that time when we're just completing the real meat of our curriculum. It's about time when we start having rotating speakers coming around to tell their success stories and tell them about the challenges they had as teenagers and how they were able to overcome those challenges and become successful. The boys start taking this very, very seriously. So again, consistency is the foundation of the success. And my job is to say we must develop a partnership between the school and the mentors, and it centers around that sacred hour and to make sure that sacred hour happens every single week.
And you talk to the administrators, the principal and the faculty, and
all the middle managers.
And what you tell them is, we're bringing this program in.
Correct.
And what does that program consist of?
It consists.
We're talking about.
It consists of
the syllabus.
Right. Consists of 6 hour classes. Mm-hmm. Where we primarily teach the boys about respect and responsibility, and its purpose is to kind of break their cycle and their definitions of manhood that they get from the street. And we let them know what real manhood is about. We teach them that really respect and manhood is what you do for the women and children in your life, not what you do to them. And these boys learn from the street that you become a man by imposing your will on other people, by showing and creating fear in other people. We have to break that definition of manhood and let them understand that we, as successful black men, we do things and make people's lives better. And that's how we get our respect. And they ultimately get that. So there's a course of 6 courses. Mm-hmm. And then we have speakers that come around and give their stories, their own personal stories of how they reached the level of success. We have 2 field trips. At the end of the year, usually in the month of April, we treat all of the boys to a VIP luncheon at Dookie Chase Restaurant. And we tell the boys that we're employers, and there's a little trick that employers use, that if you show some promise, they might want to take you to a restaurant to see how you function in that environment. And of course, you might be interested in taking a young lady out, and even if the lady doesn't care, their parents want to see how you function in that environment. So you have to know how to function in that environment. So we treat them to the art of fine dining. And Dookie's does a great job in doing that. And then finally, at the end of the year, we have our end of year celebration where they understand that the Silverbacks are bigger than just their school. And we bring all of them together, and we mix them up, and we introduce them to the other Silverbacks who are going to the high schools with them, so they can understand that this is bigger than their little class.
You know, when I tell people about this program, they are oftentimes impressed. And the next question they ask is, why don't you guys have a program like this in high school? I understand there is a pilot program right now at Warren Easton.
Yes, we have focused, and we work so hard in the elementary school level. The administrators from Warren Easton came to us and said, there's something different about these Silverback boys. Mm-hmm. And they approached us, and we began to say, well, let's see what we can do. And we have a pilot program going on right now The difference is that we want the boys to take the leadership in this particular program, and we're working on that now. And then soon, once it stabilizes and the boys kind of shape what this program should be, we think we'll be ripe and ready to expand to, let's say, a Landry Walker, to a car, to a coin, and et cetera, et cetera.
I'm struck by the fact that when you go in as sort of a cooperative. You're asking for cooperation. You're not going in like a boot camp. You're not trying to collar these boys and shake some sense into them. You're just simply trying to kind of blend in with them so that they can appreciate what you're all about just by looking and listening. You're setting an example.
I think so. I think all of these boys, and almost everyone, is attracted to success. It's unfortunate that they go on the street and they look at these pimps and they look at these drug pushes and so forth as success. We need to break that definition and that identity of success, and we bring in young black men who have been successful in other ways. As I said, successful in making the lives of the women and children in their lives better. And as we change that definition, and when they can see that and they see that we care for them by the mere fact that we're there every single week, they said, we want to be like you. And once they say that in their mind, we want to be like you, we got them, and they are Silverbacks, and hopefully Silverbacks for life.
So I'm also struck by the fact that you're just talking about ordinary men. You're not talking about celebrity status men.
No, we have a few celebrities that.
But that's not important.
But that's not important to them. What's important to these boys is that they have men who care enough to be there every week, and men who do things. You know, that's what's important to these boys. Men
who just go out
and work every day
to take care of their families.
Correct.
Yeah. And that's the idea that we're trying to get people to understand.
That is correct.
That's what being a man is.
That is correct. They are interested in some men who might be in forms of technology. We have some who are executive at the fire department. We have some who are lawyers, some who are physicians and so forth. But you know, these are men who work every day and who make the lives of the women and children that's in their lives better.
Right. Mtumishi, St. Julien, the school liaison for the Silverback Society. It's been great talking to you, and you're doing a great job.
Well, thank you so much.
All right.
All our mentors are doing a great job.
Continued success to all of us.
All right.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us for another edition of the Silverback Society Show, Raising and Mentoring Young Boys. The show airs every Tuesday at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. And as always, I leave you with our motto, as inspired by the legendary abolitionist Frederick Douglass: it is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. Until next time, I will live my life as though generations depend on me, and I will teach and encourage all of mine to do the same.
I will live my life as though generations depend on me, and I will teach and encourage all of mine to do the same. Silverback, Silverback, move!
So the Silverback Society,
it's going to change the entire dynamic
of young people, but also
it's just going to change the entire dynamics of the environment that we live in and the world.
As it relates to what is happening in education.
I think the mentoring program is a success, and that more states should incorporate the Silverback Society formula.
It's a space where folks who have been disconnected from the system are able to plug back in and like seed into the lives of young people.
But the knowledge and experience was given to me by my elders, and I need to pass that on.
And then they become attached to the school that they work at, the faculty. They become a face that's recognized, that's loved.
I'm very proud to be part of the organization.
As a younger black man, it is stuff like this that shows me which path I need to go down, and I'm just proud to be a part of the Silverback Society.